Hello team, now that you have learned everything about how to become a successful bartender, opening and closing checklist and everything about history, you will need to know which tools and the best tools and techniques for you to have on hand and impress your customers being confident, fast, and with a lot of knowledge in your head, okay? So now is the time for you to learn in details about each bar tool I have here, from basic to advanced, and how to use them properly, including all the bar techniques for you to best execute your cocktails using the best methods and steps to get a well-balanced and an awesome experience, not only for your customers, but also for yourself, for you to enjoy yourself and have fun always when you're making or creating and innovating with your drinks, cocktails, and bartending skills. Okay, let's start with some shakers here. I have a lot of things to show for you. This video will take a little bit longer, but it will be in details for you to learn everything. Starting with our Boston shaker. So the Boston shaker normally consists in two parts. It's the most used among bartenders, professional bartenders. It's easier to open, it's nice and very fast to wash as well, to clean and get back to make the next cocktail. Okay, so it consists in two parts or two things, and normally stainless steel. So you see this stainless steel part, and then you have a call as mini tin, part of the Boston shaker for you to connect both. Tap with your hand and start shaking. Okay, so the best way for you to start your cocktail, what I recommend to everyone, all my students, always never use your cocktails or pour your drinks holding your tool or your glassware. Okay, it's a very nice detail for you. Always keep your shaker over there or in the bench of your bar, and never hold like this, because sometimes you can drop all the liquid. So better to make your cocktails here. Okay, normally I pour some ice and I keep my mini tin chilling while I'm pouring my liquids, and then I add a little bit more ice if you need it to shake my cocktail. Okay, so I make my cocktail and then I connect this part. You see this angle over here, then I tap firmly, very firmly. Okay, I normally check sometimes if the liquid, any liquid is dripping, and then I'll hold with both hands. Normally hold with my left hand over here in the bottom of my ladder, my bigger shaker, and the mini tin, I can hold like this, or I can hold with my thumb. Okay, normally I hold with my thumb. The way you prefer will feel more confident. Okay, you feel comfortable, and then I shake. I go back and forth, okay, to end of my shaker, to really get this emulsification, to really get all the dilution I need with the ice and all the ingredients I picked, I chose to make my cocktail, shaking cocktails. Okay, so I start with this movement over here. All right, I would recommend you guys starting with this movement, and then you can start doing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and the way you prefer. Okay, you can do the double shake. That's normally 2 shakers over here. Okay, there's a lot of techniques. All the bartenders, they have their own technique and way to execute a cocktail. So all this Boston shaker we normally use for shaking cocktails. Okay, Marcus, how do I open my Boston shaker? Easy, using the heel of your hand. You see the angle, so the angle is leaning that way over there, right? So I will use the heel of my hand. I tap one. If you guys see it just now, it's already open. All right, but of course when we shake, it creates a vacuum, it gets frosted sometimes, the shaker, so it's a lot of pressure inside, sometimes gets stuck. Okay, this is totally normal. Every single bartender, including myself, there were many times that my shaker got stuck. So what to do? Okay, first tip, tap with the heel of your hand. Okay, try to create a lever. Okay, using your thumb. You see what I will do? This is like a lever. I call a lever because you can use your thumb, and then you create this to break the seal, and you can open. Always, if it's leaning like towards to that way, I would normally use on the other way, of course, so using my thumb. Okay, like this, and then I open. Right? But the first step is tapping your shaker, and then you can even twist sometimes until you open. Alright, this is the Boston shaker. I've got your Boston shaker as well, but sometimes you can use this heavy bottle and tempered glass to use as well, as a shaker creates a nice visual effect You can see your ingredients, your customer or whoever you're making the cocktail for. You can see like it's very nice, the ingredients coming back and forth, so you can see what's going on. It creates a nice visual effect, okay? And also this tempered glass you can use as a mixing glass to stir your cocktails, right? I got here my Parisian shaker, very elegant. There's a hermetic shape, okay? So it's very nice to use for when it requires eggs or dairy or cream. You're gonna get a longer and beautiful and nice foam, as probably you guys have seen on my Instagram, like very beautiful cocktails. And I normally prefer to use my Parisian shaker, or call as French shaker, okay? This, a lot of people ask me how to open. I use the same method, but after using the same method, applying the heel of my hand, just between the intersection between both parts over here, the lid and my stainless steel part, my shaker, my longer, these main parts over here, I use the heel of my hand, and what I'll do, I keep going back and forth. You see, back and forth until I open. So I normally apply between 1 to 2 times, maximum 3 times. Okay, 1 if it's hard, one more, and then you start doing this, back and forth, going all the way up to open your shaker. All right. And I've got here my cobbler shaker. So the cobbler shaker, it's a nice one, elegant. A lot of Japanese bartenders and mixologists, they use these. When you go to a cocktail bar, all the bartenders behind the bar, they wearing like suits. Probably you guys will see some of the Parisian of the cobbler shakers as well, okay? This is for beginners, like if you're starting in the cocktail world, it's nice to have at home, you know, to make your cocktails. It consists in 3 parts. Okay, this part over here, the lid, and comes with a cap. But the lid, it's very, how could I say, it's very convenient for us because it's a built-in strainer over here. So when you're done with your cocktail, you don't even need a strainer. You just strain using your built-in strainer. Okay, one tip I give to you guys before you start making your cocktail, this one is the hardest one to open. If you want even to open your lid, the cap, or even if you want to open fully, okay? I would recommend you guys, if you're making your cocktail, use this part of a shaker, pour all the ingredients and liquids inside. Instead of placing both together, I would recommend you guys first placing the lid and at last the cap. This will help you not to create a very like hard pressure and vacuum to open after, okay? Sometimes when you place straight like this, it can create a vacuum and it will be hard to open and to release your cap, okay, to break this seal, all right? So there are my main shakers over here I've got at home. I use each of them depending on what I want to achieve as my final result or in a cocktail, okay? All cocktail shakers, of course, to make shaking cocktail, that includes normally eggs, dairy, herbs, spices, fruits when you need to muddle, okay? The few things that we use to shake these cocktails together with ice to create a nice dilution and to get the final result as we want. You can dump the cocktail into a glass, we can single strain, we can double strain, that I will show you right now. One very good thing that you need to know, guys, is the dry shaking. What it means, the dry shaking, I'll give you such an example now. Let's suppose we are making a whisk sour, all right? So whisk sour, it's whiskey, lemon juice, simple syrup, and you get egg white. So you really want the final result as a beautiful foam, longer foam on the top, that the customer will look and say, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Okay, nice, very nice texture. Eggs and even foams, they come to really create a nice texture for our cocktails. If you're starting and to immerse in the world of cocktails right now, I'd recommend you guys also trying a lot of sour cocktails that includes eggs, for you to start identifying this different texture between all the drinks, all right? So when you put all your ingredients and then you shake without ice. That's called the dry shaken, okay? So you're gonna apply a lot of pressure between 5 to 10 seconds maximum. And then sometimes even the shaker, because of the pressure, there's no ice inside, it releases, it opens. Sometimes if you're opening, you can hear as well. So, and then you open, You add ice and then you shake it again, of course, to get chilled and to add this dilution. And then it'll be beautiful foam. When you shake straight away with ice, this sour cocktail, you're not gonna get the same result, okay? And for dry shaking cocktails, I'd recommend using your Parisian or even your shaker with the mini tin, not the tempered glass, okay? The tempered glass I would recommend you guys using when you're doing some different fruits and different colors. It's nice for you to, again, for the visual effect. Going now for mixing glass. So now we're talking about the stirred cocktails. So I've got here my mixing glass. This probably between 500, it's 500 mils capacity, and for you to use your liquids inside. Very nice shape, elegant. So when I'm making my stirred cocktails, I feel something, you know, it's more elegant when you use your bar spoon to stir these drinks. So mixing glass is for stirred cocktails and you always need your bar spoon, okay? So normally to stir a cocktail, you're gonna place your bar spoon between your middle finger and your ring finger, and you're gonna create a push and pull motion, okay? Push and pull motion, and you're gonna create this motion. You're gonna stir up between 30 to 40 seconds to get the right dilution, and then at the final result, I normally taste like this, just to see if it's well chilled, the balance is good, and if it was enough dilution, all right? So you create this movement because the spirals of the bar spoon, it normally allows you to just keep your arm very firm, but keep your hands a little bit loosened, and then you can just naturally, you see that I'm not doing anything, I'm just stirring using just my hand. It's a very unique movement. You can do it slow, you can do it fast, okay, but the final result need to be enough dilution, and all the drinks and ingredients normally used for a stirred cocktail need to be there very well mixed, okay? For stirred cocktails, we don't use eggs, we don't pour any solid condiments or ingredients inside, we don't do fresh fruits, we don't do purees, we don't use fresh juices. It's all about liqueurs and bitters normally, okay? That's not usually, okay? I'm not saying that you cannot add a citrus juice sometimes, but for the stirred cocktails, it's a mix of like a boozy, like a Negroni, like a Sazerac, you know, cocktails that requires only the main base spirit with some liqueurs and sometimes bitters to get different than shaking cocktails, to mix all the ingredients, sugars and fresh fruits and spices and herbs, okay? Cool. So that's your mixing glass. Again, you can use this one as well. I've just realized, guys, I have here these beautiful things. Probably you guys recognize, you probably guys have at home a mason jar. This, if you don't have a shaker at home yet, just use this, my friends. So you can put your ingredients, you can close using your lid, and you can use to shake your cocktails. This is just to start, you know, if you are thirsty to start right now, you can use the mason jar, right? So back to the bar spoon. So the bar spoon is one of the bartender's best friends, okay? Because you can use to grab some ingredients or sugar. You can use also to grab your garnishes. You use to stir your cocktails. You can use this spiral sometimes to create a nice effect, to filter carbonated or soft drinks to go through your leakage. You can create layers, different shots and cocktail layers using the bar spoon, just to drip in the back of your bar spoon, just to get a nice layout, not to mix all the ingredients together. If you pour it straight and you're trying to create different colors, if you pour it straight, everything you mix together. So the bar spoon is one of the best friends for that, because it drips. Even for a New York sour, when you finish your whiskey sour and you want to pour some red wine like floating on top, and you want to get a nice layer, okay? So the bar spoon is one of the best friends for that. I'd recommend you guys using always with your speed pour, and you can hold the heat because of the bubble, otherwise it's gonna come very fast. Then you can use it slowly dripping into your cocktail glass or your drink or your layered shot to create these different layers, okay? So the bar spoon, very important for you to have at home. And just for you to be aware, I'm starting with the basic bar tools for you to start looking and to have on hands always, okay? After that, guys, let's start talking some about muddlers, okay? So I've got this muddler over here. There are two parts, right? I use these parts normally to really transform fruits into puree, like strawberry, pineapple, watermelon, mango. So I really want, I normally keep my grip firm, but I keep my hands loosened and twisting when you're muddling your fruits. Okay, you're gonna get a better result. But a very nice and important detail, if you're using to muddle citrus fruits like lime, lemon, using casks, any fruits like with casks, but I mean citrus fruits, it's all good for you guys to be attentive on that. And what you want as a final result is just to extract the juice that's coming from these fruits, okay? So don't go too hard. Gently, muddling for you to just extract the liquid and not to get your cocktail or your caipirinha or your mojito bitter. You want something that you want to extract the juices and the oils coming from these casks, and of course the juice inside the citrus, just gently, okay? So be careful when using muddler. Muddling is this technique, is to mash all the fruits, transform into puree, or to extract what they can offer, okay? As the ingredient you chose. And it's always good, I normally prefer to muddle if I'm using sugar, or agave syrup, or any rich syrup or really rich sugar. I normally mix together with the fruits or herbs I'm using, okay? So because what I want is to get the citrus balance with the sweet balance, sour and citrus, and I mix together before I'm adding my rum or the next step of my build cocktail, shaking or whatever cocktail you're making. Never use your muddler to strain in a glass, like a normal glass, because it will break it, okay? Every time you're muddling something or using your shaker, for example, again, always keep here, okay, on a table, on your bench, anywhere. But always keep it here, it's more secure. Never do like that, doesn't look good. You are a professional bartender, so always muddle, holding. You can hold, okay, of course, to get a better control on your muddling technique. Cool. And I even use this muddler to break some ice sometimes, okay? So there are a few other options for you to use your muddler. Cool. Very important thing when you're using herbs like mint, basil, rosemary, any herb I use, mainly for mojitos, I don't muddle because I don't want to transform these little leaves into small pieces, and when someone uses straw, you're gonna get stuck there and you cannot drink your liquid, you cannot enjoy your cocktail. So the best option here is to grab between 6, 8 or 10 mint leaves, for example, and slap. Okay, have you ever seen that in a bar? So you slap and then you throw it. It's mainly the same result, because when you slap, you're opening all the aroma and even the flavor that the herb can provide to you and inside your drink. When you drop inside, your mojito, for example, will be looking much more beautiful, and the alcohol and all the bubbles coming from soda will be extracting the flavor of the mint, and you're gonna get the same result, okay? But much better, because you're not muddling and get your cocktail, looking bad with all the small pieces. Why not having the full mint leaf or the full herb leaf there intact inside your drink, looking and making as a garnish? Is the full experience, okay? Save that for you guys. All right, jump into the jiggers. You guys realize that I've got 4 different jiggers here. That's why I like to use more. So it's like there are two conical parts. You see, I've got here 60 mils and 30 mils. So 1 ounce, 2 ounces, 1 Aussie, 2 Aussies, okay? And I normally like to pour because this is nice to do some movements as well. Skill bartending movements. This is not a flair bartending. I'm not gonna be doing flair, okay? But it's for you to understand better. So jigger, it's very important for any cocktail. You're measuring all your liquids, because it will help if you work in a bar. It will help for stock control. It's good to get the perfect balance that cocktail was created. The main purpose of that cocktail was to have that 20 mils of rum, that's 30 mils of lime, so need to be accurate. So that's why we have the jigger. The jigger will help us to give the perfect quantity of the liquid used for you to pour your cocktails and get the best result. What I recommend to you guys right now, any jigger you have at home or in your bar environment, get to know your jigger. That's the first step. Getting to know your jigger, you know how to use them properly, you know what it means, mils or Aussie, or 2 ounces, T-bar spoons. and then you'll be much more confident. Bartender is about confidence, fast, and this looking this like style as well. So it's all about you getting this final nice result using your jiggers as well. Get to know your jigger, okay, and make it look nice whenever you're pouring. Try to use like nice holding techniques for your jigger. Feel confident with that. So practice training before you start using to really pour your liquids over there, okay, inside your shaker, inside your mixing glass. Keep your grip again firm, but keep your hand loosened, because this way you can do some techniques. You can do it, have some fun using your jigger properly. All right. So a jigger is very important to have at home, because many bartenders, depending on the countries, they use free pouring, using just this speed pour, and sometimes you just lose what you're pouring. Sometimes it's not accurate most of the time, so it's much better using to make sure that you're doing right to get a final beautiful result, right? What else? Let's jump for our strainers. So I've got two strainers over here. I got the Hawthorne strainer and the Julep strainer. The main difference between both is the Julep strainer has these 4 prongs here that connect very well with your shaker. Okay, normally used to strain your shaking cocktails. You can use to strain your strained cocktails as well, stirred cocktails as well, but it was made to connect with this metal part. You see the 4 prongs, it gets very well connected, and you can control using your finger. All right. So if you guys have a look here in your shaker, imagine that we start straining inside my glassware. So you see that all the prongs and all these well-designed strainer will be holding back the ice and all the ingredients, herbs and fruits, and all the crushed ice as well. This is using fine mesh strainer. So we'll be holding back the ice and the most of the fruits and herbs I'm using just to get the liquid, okay? So that's why it's very important to use, it's very well designed to use for that. So Hawthorne strainer recommended to use for your shaking cocktails. And you've got your Julep strainer, this perforated, looking like a spoon, this convex base. So this, I would recommend you guys keeping down using your 2 fingers, and then we'll hold back the ice. Okay, if you feel more comfortable, you can use like that, because remember, stirred cocktails, we don't use any fruit, herbs, so it's only liquid, okay? But of course, you're gonna get a little bit of ice. So the only thing this Julep strainer need to hold back the ice for you to get only your liquid. Try to use every time you see this part of your mixing glass or anything you have, even a measuring cup. Try to use this part, because all the liquid will come through here, and it will be straight to your glass or your shaker or whatever you're pouring, okay, your glassware. Cool. So that's the main difference between both. Got many different styles. I have this a little bit simple, and there are many shapes. Everything I'm saying here will vary, okay? There are many different shapes for these. When you're talking, this was a single strain. When we are talking about double straining, so it's using your fine mesh strainer, okay? The fine mesh strainer, there are many different sizes as well. The main purpose is when you double straining to hold back the crushed remaining ice and to really get just the liquid and beautiful final result into your cocktail glass, okay? So they are normally called the straight up cocktails. There you pour like a martini, like a margarita, like a Manhattan, there are many different straight up cocktails like a daiquiri, and you can double strain mainly for when you double strain using egg whites as well, aquafaba, or do you want to get a nice result, you double strain over your cocktail that you guys will be learning along the course. And I know, probably you guys have seen that. This is just to drop the remaining liquids that I really want to go inside my glass to complement with the remaining liquids that was already inside, okay? Never wasting. I like to go until the last drop, all right? And that's it, guys. So mainly, I've spoken about the main bar tools over here. I have so many things that I'm looking around and it eats a lot, okay? Of course, these ones will be fast, quick ones. All the knives, different sizes for you to use what best proper, use properly depending on what you're using to cut, okay? So this one, I don't have serrated knives, normally used to cut inside my citrus parts, to get a better like designs depending on the garnish art I'll be doing. This one is normally to cut like watermelon or pineapple, you know, big fruits that you need to cut the cask and open in many ways. So this is a nice one to use. Okay, got your peelers over here. It's something that you need to be careful to use. You need to learn how to use. It's hard. I normally hold with this finger to holding my orange or my citrus fruit to get only the peel. It saves a little bit of work instead of using the knife, but the knife I have a little bit more confidence. But if you get a nice peeler, you will be saving your time, and you're gonna get a beautiful peeler, orange peel, citrus peel. That'll be perfect for you just to squeeze and flipping into your glass and squeezing to just release the oil, bring more aroma and flavor. Okay, I have my ice tools. My ice tools, of course, to shape my ice. You guys will be learning as well and how to make a crystal clear ice. So it's all about using this. This is a therapy for myself when I'm shaping my ice rocks to get the final results and to put into my glass and pour my liquids or my cocktail. Alright? Always have with you your bottle opener, okay, to open your bottle of wine or whatever is required. Citrus squeezer. So I love to do everything fresh, okay? So my lemon lime, you guys will be watching in the cocktail videos that I do everything like straight from the fresh lime, okay? But when you're busy, you run out of all your juices. You can grab your lime, cut in the middle, and then squeeze. Normally half a lime, depending on the size, will be between 20 to 30 mils. This is a paintbrush. This is a little bit not more advanced, but you can use to draw using a jam, for example, strawberry jam, to draw your glass using this or any other thing, a tincture or anything you want to draw your glass using a small paintbrush. All right, glass taster. This is, I love to use this to taste all my cognacs, my whiskeys, any straight or neat spirit. I normally use my taster. It's good for you to have at home. Okay, jumping to speed pours. So speed pours, it helps a lot to stop the liquid. When you open the bottle, like straight from the bottle, you open the lid, and sometimes you can over pour a little bit more and then you waste. So this is much easier when you're using to make your cocktails. It's more accurate. It comes in the right measurement and liquids for you to pour into your shaker, and I will have more control using these beautiful things. All right. Always important to have a funnel and a measuring cup for you to measure if you batching your cocktails. Everything I'm saying right now, if you don't understand little terms or little words I'm saying about the cocktail and bartending words, don't worry, I've covered you with everything. Measuring cup and your funnel when you're making your syrups, for example, and then you use your funnel together with your big fine mash strainer. Again, it's a lot of different sizes, and then you have your final result on whatever you're doing. Okay, you're making in a saucepan for your syrup, for example. I've got cocktail straws. Recommend you guys not using plastic, please. So using metal straws, take care of them, or can use paper straws as well. I've got your tongs, even your tweezers. So tweezers, your tongs, very useful for, like, of course, as always, for to keep the hygiene, to keep like the looking and the professionalism of a bartender or mixologist, grabbing your, for example, your garnishes, and you giving this final touch in your instead of using your hands. So it's always good to have the tweezer. The tweezer looks, the design, the style, it's beautiful for you to do everything, take pictures, and to give this extra care impression, not only for you, but for your customers, okay, or whoever you're serving. Tongs as well, to grab even ice, sometimes an ice rock, So I would recommend you guys always having this and using, because it's very important to keep the professionalism, the style, how you use your hands. It's all, everything matters. You learn in this class that every single detail matters. Okay. So I've got different tools, guys, for you to use in your garnishes, for you to use your creativity. I'll be giving you some basic ideas, middle and even advanced ideas for you to learn and use these different tools. There are a lot of different tools for you to play around, okay? I've got some molecular mixology tools as well here for you guys to start using after you. This is just for later, but I want to show you guys also if you want to create some little like spheres. It's a lot to learn. I have here my skewer, okay, like different skewers. If we have a look over here, so you can collect these, you can have these at home, different ones. Otherwise you can use this for events, for example, or in your cocktail bar. You have like 1,000 there for you to use for a proper and nice garnish, okay? I have my containers, my bottle drop, when I want to give a final touch and I want to drop, you know, on top of my foam that which was created for coming from my eggs. Now whisk sour, for example, or my spray. So I've got here different containers to use to spray. This is for bitter that I use to spray on top to give this extra aroma, this extra garnish and color and balance. And this is normally I use orange blossom water or even rose water to bring this extra aroma to my cocktail, because when the customer look to your cocktail, first impression, that's the looking of presentation, aroma and taste and flavor. So it need to be a full experience, okay? Be attentive on that. All right, you can even transfer to this nice and beautiful, you know, shape bottles, very elegant, very nice to use it for your bitters. Important to have and to know what a coaster as well. Always using a coaster when you delivering a cocktail, you finish your cocktail, okay? I've got these a few advanced tools. Got my siphon to create my beautiful foams to bring more texture to my cocktails. This is all the green charges to use. You guys will be learning about that. All right. Got here my blowtorch. Have this at home or any of my environment. You can use to get more aroma coming from rosemary or cinnamon, for example, on top. Or you can even create smoky your cocktails. You can do a lot of things with this using your techniques. Caramelize. It's everything that it will be a next step for you. Okay, infusion smoker. Okay, use some wood chips in here and then use your blow torch. This is connecting into your glass to create this smoky coming. So you create a smoked mezcal, Negroni, or a smoked cocktail. Okay, so it's beautiful visual effect. People get crazy and it's awesome to have as well at home. Okay, immersion blender. It's good, of course, for you guys to have to use to create your quick syrups or purees or something that you want to mix it up before going to the next steps to get a final result to use in your cocktails. All right. What else, guys? What else I have here? I would recommend always you guys have little like containers for your garnishes, for dehydrated fruits, for your salt infusion. So everything that I normally recommend for everyone to have, okay? Your bar mats. So you have a lot of things that it's good for you to have when you're working in a bar environment or at home, for you to amplify and for you to diversify your cocktail creations and innovate even more. So when you have your proper tools, when you know what you're doing and using to execute, choosing your right tool together with your right technique for that, for you to achieve your best result, you know what you're doing, you're feeling confident, and then you're going to start practicing and speeding up, okay, and creating will be more like you facilitate your life. When you have this basic knowledge, when you know what you're doing, what you're using, guys, you'll be perfect and very successful bartenders and mixologists. All right. Charlie Chaplin, my techie little Charlie Chaplin is here just to remind you and remind myself always to have on hands my one pen, of course, your opener, every time you need an opener to open anything, a bottle of beer, your hand sanitizer, your mask, COVID situation, and your gloves, okay? So thank you, Charlie Chaplin, that was awesome. All right, and it's always good to have most of these, okay? I'm not saying for you guys to start buying everything, okay? But buy from the basics. Start with one shaker, one mixing glass, one strainer, one bar spoon, one muddler, one jigger, and then you already have the basic tools to start creating and innovating your cocktails. Okay, guys, hope you really enjoy it. Okay, we've spoken about stirred cocktails, shaking cocktails. We have the blended cocktail that we just use a blender in the right quantity. Don't worry, I've covered you with that as well. Beauty cocktails that you just make straight in a glass, in a tall glass, normally in a tall or short glass. Okay, but you guys will be learning about glassware as well in the next videos. And everything you need to know is just together in these videos for you to watch again and again, and in to take notes, always taking notes, and in your support material. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let's do it, because it's just the beginning of a long journey together. Okay, guys, see ya.